Hello, I'm Mason Snyder. I'm from Detroit. With this 176th pick in the 2024 draft, the New York Jets select Qwan'tez Stiggers, defensive back.
Busy day here at One Jets Drive, day 3 of the NFL Draft. The Jets all over the board. Joe Douglas executing a total of 6 draft day trades, and they still have Mr. Irrelevant in round 7.
Yeah, round 7's coming up. 4 trades today by Joe Douglas, and a reported trade of a veteran as well, because it appears John Franklin Myers is heading to the Rocky Mountains and joining the Broncos.
So this is what the Jets have done so far in the NFL Draft. Number 11 overall, Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. They traded back from 10 to 11. Then they go up from 72 to 65 to draft Malachi Corley. And then let's get into it today. Braelon Allen, Jordan Travis, Isaiah Davis, and Qwan'tez Stiggers, 257, the final pick in the draft. Mr. Irrelevant, the Jets still need to make that pick. Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh will address the media following that selection, you would assume, but that's also the undrafted free agent gold mine that, you know, the scouts they live for the UDFA. So we have a lot to break down.
Those guys are probably on the phone right now getting ready for post-draft action because, hey, listen, the Jets do have Mr. Irrelevant, number 257 overall, but then they'll be trying to get some free agents in here. And rookie minicamp commences next week behind us out here on the field.
Joe Douglas, like we said, he's been active. Let's just start going pick by pick. The Jets had a 4th-round pick, then they traded it back. Originally, they had 3. The first selection the green and white made was Wisconsin running back Braelon Allen. Now, you take a look at Braelon Allen. The book on him is that he's another physical running back. The Jets drafted a physical receiver, Malachi Corley, yesterday. Today, their first pick, another physical option.
He's a big dude. He's young. He's 20 years old. I believe he's the youngest person in the entire draft class. And here's the kid who rushed for more than 1,200 yards as a freshman at 6.8 yards a carry and 12 rushing touchdowns. Then he followed that up with a 1,200-yard season. He's the number 9 rusher in Wisconsin history in terms of yards, with nearly 3,500, 3,494 in all. Big dude, and also he is powerful in the weight room. 610-pound squat and a 405-pound power clean, just like you, Greens.
Yeah, this guy is a physical freak when you take a look at his age and what he was able to lift and squat. He's wearing number 0. That number's open here for the green and white, by the way. And I think when you look at how he fits with the Jets right now, you know that Breece Hall is the main back. Izzy Abanikanda has speed. We know that, but this guy has a big-time power element of his game that maybe the Jets haven't had in the past.
Well, the bottom line here is we were expecting the Jets to take a running back here on day 3. Little did we know that Braelon Allen would be number 1 because the Jets actually sandwich a pair of running backs around a developmental quarterback. So, you know, he was considered one of the better running backs in this class. So the Jets go for a value pick here in round 4 to get their day started. Again, Joe Douglas awfully busy on the trade front. 4 trades in all, and that's not even including what happened with John Franklin Myers.
Braelon Allen, 6'1", 235. The pro comp that the 33rd team, which is one of the outlets, their pro comp for Braelon Allen was A.J. Dillon. And A.J. Dillon, of course, a big, powerful back. You take a look at I almost said Braelon Edwards because he made the pick yesterday for Malachi Corley. I assume 4.0.6 is that is 406 pounds. And not to mention this video, what's not shown here, was taken in 2022. So you're talking about a hang clean here of 406 pounds in 2 years ago. And he's 20 years old now. Not only is he 20 years old now, he can't have a drink until after the regular season because he won't turn 21 until his first NFL season is underway and actually closed.
I'm just excited about the competition at camp because you have a star in the backfield in Brees Hall, and the Jets also are very high on Izzy Abanikanda. Allen just gives you something a little bit different in terms of when we're talking about Abanikanda, who the Jets drafted last year out of Pittsburgh. He's more that shifty, explosive back where Braelon Allen, he's not going to outrun too many guys to the sideline. He's more one cut downhill. He's going to be a downhill runner in between those tackles.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he offers on the field. And for more from Braelon Allen, man, he's really tripping me up. I keep mixing him up with Braylon Edwards 2 times.
It can happen. It can happen. It's day 3 of the draft. You're all good. You're all good.
All right, so let's hear from Braelon Allen with Caroline Hendershot.
Here with the newest New York Jet running back, Braelon Allen. Braelon, how does it feel to be drafted by the New York Jets?
It's an amazing feeling. Waited a long time, so for it to be the Jets calling my phone is amazing, and can't wait to get to work.
I know you met with running back coach Tony Dews briefly during the pre-draft process. What was that conversation like? What did he tell you?
Yeah, so like you said, very brief, really just during informal interviews at the Combine. And I just remember them giving me a test and a little quiz, about their scheme and whatnot, and gave him back the test, and he told me I was the smoothest, quickest, and most accurate through the test. So for sure I left a pretty good impression on them. So yeah, I'm excited to work with them.
Sounds like it. Now, you went to Wisconsin to play defense. You end up at running back. So how do you describe your style of play to people that have never seen it before?
Yeah, I would just say running back with a defensive player's mindset. Like you said, was recruited as a defensive player, safety / linebacker type hybrid. So I run the ball with that mentality of punishing and creating the contact. So definitely getting a physical, downhill runner.
Now, you get to reunite with a former Wisconsin teammate of yours, center Joe Tippmann. How excited are you to run it back with him?
Incredibly excited. That's my guy. So I'm looking forward to running behind those Hogs again.
Now, I know you're a Wisconsin native, so this name isn't absurd to you either. Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. What is that going to be like for you?
That's going to be unreal. Definitely going to be a surreal feeling, being in the backfield with him. Like you said, growing up a Wisconsin kid, really, 40, 45 minutes from Green Bay. So, whole family's really Packer fans for the most part. And, Rodgers has been the guy.
Now, you've worked almost your entire life to get to this point. I know it's still maybe a little surreal for you, but when you look back at all of this work that you've put in, how does it feel to know that you finally made that goal of yours, making it to the NFL draft, to actually happen?
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. Like you said, so many years of hard work and dreaming about that call in this moment. It's an amazing feeling. So I'm just ready to get to work.
And what's the biggest thing that you're looking forward to with joining the Jets?
Winning. I know our quarterback has a ring of his own, so I'm sure he's itching to get back and get a second one. So that's the goal. I know just as well as me that everybody has that same goal in mind. So I'm looking forward to winning some rings.
Awesome, Braelon. We appreciate the time and welcome to New York.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Really great stuff from Braelon Allen. And like I said earlier, his pro comp from some of the national guys, including Charles Davis, who's on the desk at Detroit, is A.J. Dillon. And actually, Braelon Allen took to Twitter and he said, hey, this is also from a couple of years ago, or from earlier this offseason, actually. In February, he says, when's that squat off? Because both Allen and Dillon can put up major numbers with the squat rack.
Again, Allen, insane number, 610-pound squat.
Yeah, it's a lot of iron.
So he's a powerful dude. Again, very accomplished runner at Wisconsin, and he joins a former teammate from the Badgers here in Joe Tippmann, who's going to be anchoring that Jets offensive line from the center position. But the good thing about Allen, too, is that he's young. He's 20, so there's a lot of development that he's still going to have. It's going to be interesting training camp because the Jets did pick up a pair of running backs here on day 3 of the draft.
Yeah, and Joe Douglas has selected a running back in each draft that he's been general manager of the New York Jets. Izzy Abanikanda is also a very young running back. So between Abanikanda and Allen, the Jets have a lot of youth in the backfield, including Breece Hall as well. And then after the Jets elect to go running back, they stay on the offensive side of the ball, and they go to a position that I don't think is a surprise to us, because Joe Douglas said he would like the Jets to become like the quarterback factory that the Packers had in the late 90s. You think about Mark Brunell, a day 3 selection, Matt Hasselbeck as well, and Aaron Brooks. The Jets select Jordan Travis out of Florida State, who's an extra intriguing prospect because you don't really know where he would have been drafted had he not broken his leg in November.
Yeah, and the Jets get him in round 5, number 171 overall. In his 6th college season last year at Florida State, he had 20 touchdown passes, just the 2 interceptions, completing nearly 64% of his balls. The problem for Travis last year in Florida State, man, he had that devastating ankle injury in that game against Northern Alabama, so Florida State didn't have an opportunity to compete for the national championship. But he's a guy who steadily improved throughout his collegiate career and really got better. And that Florida State team had a dream season up to the time where he was injured against North Alabama. But if you're him, what better spot to be than the New York Jets, where you have a future Hall of Famer at quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. You're going to be able to learn from him and watch him. And Tyrod Taylor, a guy who's done a lot of good things in the National Football League as well.
Yeah, I think we've been saying that a lot. I mean, we said it after the Jets drafted Olu Fashion. It was like, what room would you want to be in? This is a great situation for Olu. It's a great situation for Jordan Travis, especially when you think about what you said. You're recovering from an injury. There's really no pressure to need to hustle back into the lineup. For someone like him to learn from these guys. I mean, Tyrod Taylor was drafted in the 6th round, by the way, in 2011.
Out of Virginia Tech, I remember that.
So that's something to think about when he was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens, which, of course, is where Joe Douglas came from. So I do think that there's value in this position, of course, and you know the Jets needed another arm to add in the quarterback's room after they traded Zach Wilson.
Dual threat at Florida State, too. He set the career mark in terms of total offense with 10,554 yards, and also the school quarterback rushing record with 1,910 yards on the ground, 31 rushing touchdowns. So he's a guy who was able to get it done with his feet if there was nothing happening down the field there at Florida State. One of his favorite targets, of course, is now a division rival with the Buffalo Bills, and that's Keon Coleman, who started the 2nd round proceedings on Friday.
Yeah,
I guess it is Saturday afternoon, right?
The days are definitely mixing together here as we're on the back end of day 3 of the NFL draft.
Good leader. Also, I wouldn't say he's got the biggest arm in the world, and he's not also the biggest guy in stature. But again, he continued to progress throughout his collegiate career and really had a nice season with Florida State last year.
You talked about he's now an opponent or a rival of Keon Coleman with the Buffalo Bills. He's rejoining a former teammate.
There you go.
And Jermaine Johnson. Obviously, Johnson very excited to add his former teammate. And for more from Jordan Travis, let's go back to Caroline Hendershot.
Here with the newest New York Jet quarterback, Jordan Travis. Jordan, who are you celebrating this big day with today?
I have my family downstairs, my agent, my marketing lady, my best friend. So I mean, it's such a blessing. I mean, experiencing that moment with them, it's so cool, and I'm so blessed for sure.
What was that phone call like, receiving from the Jets coaching staff telling you that you were going to be a New York Jet?
Honestly, I mean, that feeling, I can't even describe it. I kind of blacked out a little bit. I mean, I saw the call, and I mean, my heart started racing. I mean, it's just been such a journey, and all glory to God at the end of the day, because I would not be here without him, my family. So I'm just so grateful to be here.
It's been a long journey for you. You've worked your whole life for this. Your college career didn't end the way that you intended it to, but you made it to the NFL. Can you even put that into words right now?
I can't. I really can't. Once again, just all glory to God, and all glory to my family, because I wouldn't be here without them.
What did the Jets coaching staff tell you in the pre-draft process of what they saw in you and what you could add to the Jets?
Yeah. I mean, they talked about the person I am a lot. That was the main thing, is who I am as a person and how I treat my teammates and how I was walking around the combine. And I wasn't obviously able to participate, but I was always positive and just treated everybody with respect. I think that's really big. But when it comes to the football field, I'm a playmaker. I'm out there doing what I can, no matter what, to help the team win. I'm a winner. I'm a competitor. But yeah, I mean, meeting Coach Downing, Coach Hewlett. It's just, I mean, it's such a blessing. I'm so grateful.
Joining a room with Tyrod Taylor and Aaron Rodgers as two of these new mentors for you, what are you going to try to learn from both of them?
Everything. How they treat their teammates, how they carry themselves off the field, on the field. Obviously, how they study a playbook, study defenses, coverages, all that type of stuff. I'm just trying to pick their brain with everything they do. I mean, they're two of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I have an opportunity just to go in there and just learn from them. And I can't freaking wait.
For anyone who hasn't seen you play before, how would you describe your style of play?
Just a playmaker. Can throw the ball, can run the ball. Guy that goes out there and will put his body on the line to help the team win when he needs to. Yeah, and just a hard worker. Every single down, you're going to get everything out of me. And for the rest of my career, you're going to get everything out of me. And I'm going to do everything I can do, to help his team win a championship, multiple championships. So I can't wait.
What's the thing you are most excited about with coming to New York?
I mean, everything about it. I mean, I'm a New York Jet, and it's a dream come true. I can't wait to meet all the teammates. I mean, all the coaches, see Jermaine Johnson, my guy. I just can't wait to get up there. I can't.
What did Jermaine tell you in that pre-draft process when you were talking to him about the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, he just kept saying, we need you, and I was texting him a lot. Yeah, he's making tweets every now and then, hinting stuff. But yeah, I mean, being Jermaine's teammate again is such a blessing. He's such a great person and obviously such a great football player. So I can't wait to get up there with him too.
Well, we can't wait to have you up here. Congratulations again, and thanks for the time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
So up until this point, if you take a look from round 1 to round 4 after the Jets selected Jordan Travis, still had not selected a defensive player.
No.
With
By the
their
way,
next selection, yeah, okay.
I just want to say, you root for a guy like that.
Of course.
Everything that he endured throughout his college career to get to that point, he goes down with the injury, and he's so humble and he's so excited. You can sense his enthusiasm for coming here and working with a guy like Rodgers. I think it's a cool story.
I definitely think it's a cool story. The Jets, after Jordan Travis, still didn't go defense. They actually double dipped in the running back position with Isaiah Davis out of South Dakota State, who was a first-team All-American, and he led the FCS in rushing. It's a very interesting move. I think that if Jets fans on Twitter were a little confused by this, but the Jets added another back in the backfield, another horse to the stable.
Well, sometimes when we're discussing the big board, we're talking about horizontals and verticals. Maybe they just went by not need, obviously, and they just said, hey, listen, this is the best guy on our board right now. I'm going to be fascinated to hear both Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh address Allen and Davis in terms of what potentially they think either guy can bring to the table as far as special teams is concerned. This dude's production, off the charts. I mean, you're talking about 46 games, 50 career touchdowns, more than 4,548 yards on the ground. Over the past 2 seasons, he rushed for more than 3,000 yards and had 23 touchdowns. Small school, big-time production.
He led all FBS and FCS players with 54 carries of at least 10 yards in 2023. Ultra productive for the Jackrabbits, an underrated team name, by the way. And I think that it's going to be interesting, to your point, to see what they have in terms of special teams, because when you get to day 3, that's really what you have to look at. That was an awesome run at the goal line, by the way.
Damn, that's a pop that Malachi Corley would really like, right? Speaking about, don't get in my way by the goal line. I love that.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting move, though, with a guy like Isaiah Davis. But now I think before the draft, you would have imagined the Jets adding a running back to the room, whether that's a veteran or rookie. I feel like maybe now the narrative has shifted a little bit after adding both Allen and Davis.
Yeah, and again, Breece Hall worked his way up last year, as far as early in the season, the Jets wanted to slowly bring him back and make sure you didn't jeopardize anything he was doing. And by the end of the year, Breece Hall was one of the top running backs in football. And with all these weapons around the Jets as far as on the offensive side of the ball, Breece Hall might be a guy who goes 2,000 yards from scrimmage. I don't think that's unrealistic at all this season. And Abanikanda, I thought he showed some flashes down the stretch, and now you add Allen and Davis, two interesting big guys, powerful dudes who were productive on the collegiate level.
Yeah, and Davis got a lot of work in South Dakota State, over 200 rushes each of the last 2 seasons. And so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out in the backfield. But then Joe Douglas finally went to the defensive side of the football. First time in the draft with this guy right here, Qwan'tez Stiggers, who, by the way, is you were talking about stories before, people to root for.
Yep.
If there's anyone to root for, this might be the best story in the entire draft. Qwan'tez Stiggers quits football in 2020 during the pandemic after his father passed away, unrelated to the pandemic. He returns to football. His mom signs him up for the fan-controlled league, which is basically an indoor 7-on-7 ball. Then he goes from there to the Toronto Argonauts, which is what you're seeing right here, the Argos, the Canadian Football League. And today, Qwan'tez Stiggers became the first CFL player to be drafted to the NFL. It's a really cool story. It's a very unique story. And the traits are there for a guy to actually make an impact on the NFL, both on special teams and potentially defense.
He started 16 games last season, tied for second in the CFL with 5 interceptions, and he had 56 tackles. I'll tell you what, very interesting.
Good hands.
Yeah, very interesting though. The Jets are loaded up top at that cornerback position. I'm going to be interested to watch him from a special teams perspective, but give this guy a lot of credit in terms of perseverance, sticking with it, getting back in there, and taking the long road to the National Football League. This is what Day 3 is all about.
Yeah, I think when you take a look at Stiggers, first of all, he said that he works out with Michael Carter II and Isaiah Oliver. He's worked out with both of them in the offseason. Think about Michael Carter II, a round 5 selection, now one of the best slot corners in the NFL. Also a guy that he's joining this room. Stiggers joins the room with Brandon Eccles, who you were talking about special teams defense value. Yeah. Eccles started for the Jets as a rookie in 2021. He takes a step back. He grows a bigger role on special teams. He's now, as you would imagine, a starting gunner for the Jets. He was a starting gunner opposite Justin Hardy last year. This year, as we currently stand, you'd imagine Irv Charles, Brandon Eccles, your 2 gunners. This guy, Qwan'tez Stiggers, there's no reason why he shouldn't be on that same type of blueprint. Leger Douzable talks about it all the time. The guys you draft in Day 3, you want them to be impact special teams players and guys who can either develop as spot starters or straight up starters.
Do you like watching the CFL highlights as far as what they do
in the end zone?
Prior to the snap? Oh, the movement.
Yeah.
And Stiggers comes to a league where people say, hey, NFL, we're pass happy here. In the CFL, you only got 3 downs to get a first down.
Yeah, I think the CFL is an interesting game, and here's Michael Carter II, who, like we said earlier,
that's
works
culture.
out.
That's culture right there.
He works out with Stiggers. He said, he's like that. Let's work. And so, the one thing that I think is interesting in all this, there's been so many trades up, back. Joe Douglas has just been a madman on the phone. The Jets have one.
So have you, as far as writing those trade articles on NewYorkJets.com.
The numbers are I don't even know which numbers are what. I know that the Jets moved back 1 in round 1.
Oh, here we go.
And then in round 3, they go from 72 to 65, courtesy of the 157th pick. Throw that in there. Now we get to round 4. The Jets had pick 111. They said, okay, let's go back. 126 and 190. That's what we'll get. The Jets say, okay, pick number 126. That's going to next year. The Detroit Lions can have that pick. The Jets can have a 2025 third-round pick, which is a great move.
Can we freeze this right here? I wish we could circle 126 with the telestration. What you're saying here is a huge point. Now Joe Douglas has 2 third-round picks in 2025. I love that move. And somebody asked me on Twitter, in fact, that, hey, I think the Jets' third-round pick next year is going to Philadelphia for Hassan Reddick, where actually that is a third-round pick in 2026 that is going to Philadelphia, can become a 2. So with that being said, right now, 2025, looking ahead, the Jets, I believe, have 2 third-round picks and 2 sixth-round picks.
Okay, so, well, then in round 5, the Jets go up. They had 185 and 190. They go up. They go to 171. They get their guy.
Yep.
The Jets still have 257, which is the final pick in the draft. Now, the one thing that we haven't mentioned that is related to trading on draft day, but not necessarily college prospects. It was reported by Adam Schefter that the Jets have sent John Franklin Myers to the Denver Broncos, which means that's 2 trades within a week that Joe Douglas and George Payton have come to agreement with. The first one being Zach Wilson, the second one being John Franklin Myers, and the Jets have reportedly agreed to a trade that they will get a 2026 sixth-round pick. So similar to what you're saying, Jets traded away a 2026 third-round pick for Hassan Reddick. The Jets receive a 2026 sixth-round pick.
Okay, so we got to get into a number of things here. First off, hell of a job by Joe Douglas and company getting John Franklin Myers off of waivers in 2019. He became a very valuable performer for this team in terms of what he did on the edge and also his versatility, because he could come, dip down inside, and make life awfully difficult for guards throughout the National Football League. Last season, Franklin Myers, 55% snap share, 3.5 sacks, 33 tackles. That followed a 2022 season when he had 5 sacks and 38 tackles. But what happened here, I believe, and we'll hear Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh talk about this momentarily coming up. You can check that out live. If you're watching us live, if you're watching us on the archive, you can watch the archive as well. The Jets traded for Hassan Reddick. Reddick is a guy, 74% snap share in Philadelphia, not just last year, but the last 2 years. I'm not saying he's going to get 74% of the snaps here, but he's going to get a lot of snaps. And here's a guy who's so productive, 15.5 sacks the last 4 seasons. I think the Jets really valued what JFM brought to the table, but the bottom line is, too, money comes into this matter where you're going to save money against the cap. I believe people are talking about a reported $7 million.
I think it's the Jets still have 7 to pay. They receive a $9 million cap free.
Okay, you're saying, okay. So it's a changing landscape at the defensive end position, though. We can carry this further. We saw Jermaine Johnson take that monster leap last season. Will McDonald was a first-round pick last year. And when you're looking at McDonald in 15 games last year, 3 sacks, 19% snap share. Bryce Huff now is a Philadelphia Eagle as well. Michael Clemens.
Yeah.
Still on this roster. So again, kind of like we talked a lot about the defensive tackle changing this position as far as who's next to Quinnen Williams and the depth pieces other than Solomon Thomas. Defensive end is going to look a lot different here next season.
A lot of moving pieces. I mean, today alone, just from the trades, and then you start to factor in what actually this team starts to look like. We'll break it all down over the next couple weeks, but let's take a look at who the Jets have drafted to this point and what remains. With the number 11 overall pick, they drafted Olu Fashanu in round 3. They didn't have a second-round pick because of the Aaron Rodgers trade. They draft Malachi Corley. Then today, 4 players that they've drafted: running back Braelon Allen, quarterback Jordan Travis, running back Isaiah Davis, and cornerback Qwan'tez Stiggers. They have the last pick of the 2024 NFL Draft. And like EA said, make sure to see what Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas say after the draft on NewYorkJets.com.